Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into something pretty fascinating, how artificial intelligence is shifting gears, moving beyond just chatting, to AI that actually does things, taking actions in the real world, or at least the digital world. And right at the heart of this shift, application programming interfaces, APIs. So our mission today is to really explore why tech leaders, the CIOs, see APIs as absolutely crucial for this next wave, this agentic AI. We'll look at the cool applications popping up, the real business results they're getting, and yeah, the big hurdles too. Things like making systems talk to each other and security. Definitely security.
That's a great way to frame it, because you're right. Today's AI is mostly talk. You ask, it answers, but
Yeah.
the next step is AI that can drive real action.
Yeah.
And APIs are how it's going to do that. They're already, the standard way digital stuff connects, the lingua franca, as some say.
Right. So if AI is so smart now, what's stopping it from, doing stuff already? Why is it mostly just talk, and how do APIs really change the game?
It's kind of like having a brain without hands. The large language models, they've gotten incredibly good at understanding, processing huge amounts of information, bigger context windows and all that. But the mechanism to actually act on that understanding in other systems, that's been the missing piece, which is why Rebecca Fox, she's the group CIO at NCC Group, nails it when she says APIs are the glue. Simple as that. She says without them, agentic AI just can't effectively combine or orchestrate processes across different systems.
The glue. I like this. So APIs are the glue, or the hands,
Mm-hmm.
letting the AI reach out. What kind of reaching out are we talking about? How does it go beyond just conversation?
Exactly. We're talking about automating real work. Agentic AI needs to connect to, well, everything. Your CRM, your calendar, Slack, payment gateways. Doug Gilbert, he's CIO and CDO at Sutherland Global. He calls APIs the cornerstone of agentic AI. He talks about these agents using structured ways to call APIs, to autonomously invoke APIs to access data, execute tasks, and drive workflows. It's about action.
Okay, and Mark O'Neill at Gartner points out there are kind of two sides to this API coin, right? First, the agents use APIs to get data and tools to do their tasks. Makes sense. But then he says the agents themselves might have APIs. What does that mean? The AI itself becomes a tool for other things.
Yes, exactly. That's a really important point. It means that AI isn't just consuming services. It can offer its own capabilities as a service through an API. And this API access isn't just for pulling information like, our RAG models do to answer questions. This is about actually changing things, performing database mutations, as the tech folks say, updating records, triggering actions outside the AI itself. Milan Nafade at Capital One mentioned how AI-ready APIs paired with multi-agentic capabilities can unlock a broad range of use cases, really focus on those core enterprise workflows.
And compared to older methods, like trying to scrape information off screens or using clunky connectors, APIs are just much more solid, right? More reliable.
Yeah.
Joel Chaplin, the CIO at Precisely, definitely sees APIs as critical, allowing that seamless real-time connectivity you need. You can't build enterprise solutions on shaky foundation.
Absolutely. Brittle workarounds just don't scale, and they break easily. APIs provide that necessary robustness.
Okay, so we've got the why APIs are the glue, the hands, the reliable connection. But what is this actually building? Let's get into the exciting stuff, the real-world examples. I mean, we're already seeing basic things like agents managing calendars or summarizing emails using APIs, but that feels like just scratching the surface.
Oh, it absolutely is. The potential is much bigger. Look at insurance. You're seeing experiments with autonomous claims engines. They can pull data from documents, check it against policy rules, even spot potential fraud, and process the claim with very little human intervention.
Wow, okay. That's a big leap. What else? Any other industries jumping out?
Definitely. PC maker Lenovo is doing interesting things in manufacturing and marketing. They have this suite of autonomous agents optimizing things. These agents call APIs to grab purchase history, product details, customer profiles, and then they trigger other applications, say, in the server configuration process or healthcare. Transcend is using Salesforce's Agentforce. Their agents use APIs to do things like validate orders for controlled substances, check eligibility, flag side effects, super critical stuff. And they also help the human reps by giving them real-time access to client, sales, demographic, and lab data, all while staying IPAY compliant, which is obviously key.
That's incredible, using AI for compliance and safety checks automatically.
It is. And finance, too. Capital One has a chat concierge built on the Llama open source model. It uses APIs to help customers do things like compare vehicles or even schedule appointments with dealerships. And Precisely, they're working on AI to take meeting notes and then autonomously update project trackers and dashboards using internal APIs. They're even looking at cybersecurity, detecting and fixing anomalies, even in DevOps, managing IT infrastructure. Agentic AI could interact with APIs and event streams to manage systems more autonomously.
It really feels like it's starting to touch almost every area. And the business impact isn't just theoretical, right? You mentioned Lenovo.
Yeah, they reported a higher conversion to order rate for AI-generated configurations compared to the ones humans put together. That's direct bottom line impact.
So real money.
Real money. But beyond direct revenue, the bigger picture is often about efficiency and cost savings. Rebecca Fox talks about achieving best-of-breed business agility. Imagine AI dynamically picking the best, most cost-effective service via API for each step in a process. That leads to streamlined operations, reduced complexity, and better overall resource allocation. Less waste, more focus.
And for us as users or consumers, it means AI can do more than just answer questions. It can actually guide users toward outcomes, giving personalized info. And in areas like medicine, that potential for precision, accuracy, and response time is huge. The idea that AI could uncover things better than humans can, speeding up analysis, that's powerful.
It really is. And Doug Gilbert shared some hard numbers. Insurance firms using this stuff, cutting claims processing time by 60%, costs by 30%. Those aren't small changes.
Okay, that's the promise, and it's definitely compelling. But let's pivot now. It can't all be smooth sailing. The reality is this is complex stuff. What are the big roadblocks? You mentioned interoperability earlier, making all these different systems actually talk nicely to each other via APIs.
Yeah, that's a major one. And it starts with some, well, almost old-fashioned problems. Mark O'Neill from Gartner points out that many existing APIs were built for humans. So you might need to talk to a sales team to get access, or the documentation is hidden. AI agents can't easily navigate that. It creates friction.
Right, the systems weren't designed for autonomous agents just plugging in.
Exactly. And then there's the incentive issue. Rebecca Fox notes that vendors might not want to fully open their APIs if it means customers could more easily switch parts of their service out. It can mess with their business model.
The classic walled garden problem.
Sort of, yeah. Plus, you just need good, solid, standardized, robust APIs that can cope when things change. And Doug Gilbert flags legacy systems' outdated infrastructure with fragmented or poorly documented APIs. That slows everything down. And that poor documentation issue, it's massive. EM found only like 10% of companies fully document their APIs. Worse, API Context found in 2024 that 75%, three-quarters of APIs in production don't actually match their official descriptions, their open API definitions. So the map doesn't match the territory. And Joel Chaplin adds another layer. Data. Agentic AI needs tons of data, often unstructured stuff like emails or videos that's harder to validate, harder to govern. He mentioned Precisely is tackling this by centralizing data, using metadata tagging, classification, making it machine-readable and understandable for the AI. You need a solid data strategy underneath it all.
So connecting the pipes is messy. Getting the data right is hard. But then there's what many CIOs call the biggest headache. Security. Letting these autonomous agents loose with API keys. That sounds risky.
It absolutely raises critical questions because these language models, they're not deterministic. They can be unpredictable. Their intent can become muddled, as one source put it. So Rebecca Fox asks, how can you trust an AI with granular permissions when it has this known propensity to hallucinate? What if it just makes up that it should have access to something sensitive?
Yeah, that's worrying. An AI deciding it needs access it shouldn't have.
And it taps into an existing problem. Salt Security's data suggests almost 95% of API attacks actually come from authenticated users. Often, it's just someone tweaking a user ID in a request to see data they shouldn't. So if you increase API usage dramatically with AI agents, you might just be widening those existing security holes if you're not careful. Mark O'Neill also highlights that even if an agent starts with the right permissions, say using OAuth 2.0, it could drift its privileges at runtime. Its autonomous actions might lead it down a path where it ends up with more access than intended.
Privilege creep, but automated and potentially unpredictable. So what are the concrete dangers here? What could go wrong?
Well, Doug Gilbert lists quite a few. Accessing or misusing sensitive data, obviously, but also communicating with untrusted platforms, falling victim to prompt injection, where someone tricks the AI into doing bad things, or input spoofing attacks. Basically, you risk unauthorized sharing of confidential information and just generally creating a much bigger attack surface for bad actors. Sutherland Global's approach is multi-layered. Role-based API gateways, fine-grained access control, strict input validation, strong observability. You need to watch these agents closely. Traditional security probably isn't enough. You need what they call intent-aware, scalable governance.
Okay. It's a complex web of challenges: connectivity, data, security.
Mhm.
So what's the path forward? Are we seeing efforts to standardize things, to build guardrails?
Yes, thankfully. Standards are emerging as really crucial. There's MCP, that's an open source protocol from Anthropic. It's already created a big ecosystem of servers connecting AI agents to data, tools, APIs. That's for agent to tool communication. Then Google has A2A, the agent to agent protocol for communication within an AI system between different agents cooperating. And Gartner highlighted something called the Arazo specification. It's about defining sequences of API calls like pre-approved workflows, so API providers can suggest safe, predetermined multi-step flows for agents to follow. Reduces that randomness risk.
Interesting. So standards for talking outwards, talking inwards, and even for predefining the conversation patterns.
Exactly. And foundational stuff remains key. Doug Gilbert stresses things like OpenAPI, OAuth2, and GraphQL. These are pillars for secure, scalable integration. On the security front, Rebecca Fox sees OAuth as the start. But looking ahead, thinks we'll need more advanced things like zero-trust architectures and really granular identity management. Basically, assume nothing is trusted, verify everything, give minimum necessary privilege.
So wrapping this up, the outlook seems, well, cautiously optimistic. There's huge potential, but also these very real hurdles. Data issues, standards still evolving, security concerns.
That sums it up pretty well. Joel Chaplin's view is that things are moving so fast, the immediate focus needs to be on creating a connected, secure, and scalable environment where this AI can develop responsibly. And for him, that means stronger governance at the data layer is paramount. You need control over the information foundation.
Right. But the key takeaway feels like these challenges, while significant, shouldn't stop the progress. Because getting autonomous agents beyond just talking into actually doing things, that requires APIs. It's fundamental.
Absolutely. It's like Rory Blundell said quite powerfully, APIs are the lifeblood of agentic AI. Without that API access, the agents are just observers. They can't be doers.
And that concludes our deep dive today. We have explored how APIs are really the linchpin, the essential element enabling AI to transition from passive conversation partner to active participant,
Yeah.
even with those big challenges still on the road ahead.
So, maybe a final thought to leave you with. As you go about your day, just think about how many tasks you do, professionally or personally. How many could be reimagined, seen as a workflow that a multi-agent AI system could handle? If only it had that seamless, secure API access to all the digital tools you rely on, it really could change everything.